What's going on, guys? If you saw my last video, it's right here. If you didn't, you know that my Mustang, which has high miles, has had nothing gone wrong in the 3 years I've owned it. Well, right after I put out that video, it went wrong. What had happened was, when I said in that video that I wasn't getting hot air at idle or right when it started up, like right when it became at the bottom end of the spectrum for your oil temp, well, that was a sign that the coolant was low. Filled the coolant up when I got back from school, and then like 3 days later, it was doing it again. So that means it was eating coolant somewhere or spitting out somewhere. But whenever I looked in here, I could never see puddles besides like, well, it's raining now. I could never see any puddles in here. Couldn't see any leaks on any hoses or anything. So I was just very confused until I was like, you know what, maybe it does it at high RPMs. So I ran around the block, balls to the wall. Might have made some neighbors mad, but you know, had to do it. And then came back and there's a puddle right there. You can see how it's a lot darker than the other metal. All right, well, that's a good sign. There's at least some sign of leakage, which is better than a head gasket being out, because that's what I thought it was. So I called my dad out, said, just give it a few revs while I look in the engine bay. So sure enough, once he got above like, I think it was like 3,000 RPMs or whatever, it was just starting to spit right below this, which is like, that's where the thermostat is, but it's squared out there. So that is the water pump that's behind that. So I figured it's like a $90 water pump. Might as well just replace it while I'm in there changing out the gasket. So I went Advanced Auto Parts, got a water pump. This one also came with a lifetime warranty, so if it ever goes bad, I'll just get a free one and I'll just do this again. The guy said it didn't come with any gaskets, so I bought a gasket. Turns out there's a gasket on here, $5 gasket. I might keep it just to have it. Got my inch pound, foot pound, and my breaker bar. Pretty much all the special tools you need. You can see I already started, and that's because I forgot this was charging and I went to go get it done. Anyway, I didn't do too much. I had to mostly wait for it to cool down because I just came back from Walmart to get coolant, but just took everything off. It's mostly plastic. I'm also gonna clean. There's also a bunch of like white splatter right there, which is coolant, and also in the fan area. So I got degreaser, so I was testing that on the engine cover. Needless to say, I thought, what better day to change your water pump than when it's raining and 40 degrees outside. But it also needs to be done ASAP. It's not a huge leak, but it's like it's a problem. This is gonna be a how-to on how to do water pumps on this generation, or I mean, all the 5.0s are pretty much the same. All right, what I've done so far is drain the radiator, and you can see right where it's dripping. That's what you need to unscrew. And there's a little, like, you can call it a nipple that they say to put a hose up to, but I didn't. Kind of did get everywhere, but that's the first step. You want to keep your reservoir cap on until you unscrew it all the way, because that'll just prevent it from just slowly leaking and getting all over you. So that's the first step. And I also have these diagrams up. There's this one on the Mustang source. I'll link that below, and it has all the links because they're all right here. Drain coolant, remove intake, loosen water pump pulley bolts. Don't remove. So that's the next step. Couldn't find my socket, of course. It's a 10mm. What do you expect? Now we loosen the belt, and this is the belt tensioner. This right here is my sway. Is the belt tensioner. So gotta find a socket that fits that. I'm gonna use a breaker bar just to make it easy. One thing you might want to do, because there's no like draw out how the belt goes on, just for future reference, to put it back on. Belt's off, and a good time to inspect your belt as any, but this one is fine. There's nothing rotting or cracks or torns or anything. Yeah, next step I believe is remove water pump pulley. So take these 4 bolts out, and this is also a good time to get some cardboard or this and draw a circle or whatever you're working on, and just draw it out, poke holes, and then put the bolts in those holes where you see it. So we're also gonna do the same thing with the water pump. turn the camera off because the 10mm socket I had was like a 12 star, whatever it is, but this is the 6. Anyway, had to find this socket, which took forever. Remove the outer pump. It goes out of the heater core into there. Remove that. It's just the bolt, and you pull it off. And then I got this like T connector right here. That goes from here to here, off. And then right now I'm working on the water pump bolts. This was starting to slip whenever I had the breaker bar on it. They still have room, so that's why I suspect it's not a millimeter, but a like a metric. Oh, and I think it's SAE. All right, had to run to the store to get a new socket because mine broke. Hopefully this will, because it was starting to strip the head off, and I didn't want to do that. So hopefully this will work. So a couple hours passed. Went to dinner, took some time off from it because this thing was not budging when I tried to move it. So came back from dinner. Before I went, I sprayed WD-40 and some parts cleaner and just hopes to let it soak and come off. And sure enough, that did the trick. I'm also cleaning it because I don't know if it's all the way bad. Like, it's still spun. You know, the only thing I can think of is like an O-ring that's bad with this, but like it wasn't leaking here. I'm just gonna go ahead and replace it because I have the part. I have all the new O-rings. I might just put that in a closet, just worst case scenario later on down the line. This one goes bad and I just have to use that one in a pinch. So I'll probably do that. However, I'm also gonna replace the thermostat O-ring. So there's one here, which I'll have to break that apart, but also this one. I have to wait till tomorrow to get that. Oh, and you just had to pull this out, but it was a pain to pull out. So now we'll just do everything in reverse. Torqued all those down to spec. I didn't realize when I borrowed this it was a 1/4 inch, and I only have 3/8 for the socket that I need. So I just had to convert inch pounds to foot pounds, just divide by 12. Not that hard. Anyway, torqued it down. Now I'll put the heater. Anyway, put that on there because that's pretty hard to reach. Then I'll put the pulley on, then the belt, then the thermostat, because I'm probably gonna change the thermostat gaskets tomorrow. And that's where I'm going to stop for tonight. I'm going to go get the thermostat housing gaskets. There's only these two, and then we'll finish it tomorrow morning. So, all right, it is the next day, and all we have to do today is put the thermostat on, fill it with coolant, and see if it leaks anywhere. I already went ahead and changed this gasket because it was a pain to get off, and I also had to charge the camera. It fits. I also sort of cleaned this up to best I can. So now we just gotta put it on, torque it, fill it up with coolant, and that'll be that. Torque down. Next thing is to screw all these hose clamps down, make sure everything's connected, and then throw the belt on, and then all the tubes, make sure all the tubes are connected. Like last thing to do is the serpentine belt. You remember we drew a diagram to show the teeth go in. So try to put on the belt and knock the GoPro in the bucket of coolant that was under the car.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
It was just sitting right here and somehow knocked it and it just tumbled down into the bucket. So that's in rice right now. But we have this camera and we actually have a tripod for it, so it won't fall. But hopefully I can just get this belt and be done with it because I'm fed up at this point with this. So. All right, go ahead. And cool. Yeah, no leaks, but it was only leaking at rev, so I'll torque it down, and then I'll have you come start it again. All right, I realized when the car started, I forgot to torque down the water pump pulley bolts, so I have to remove this and torque it, and that'll be it. But so far, no leaks. So far. Turn on. Oh. And now that it's been running for a little while, fill it back up and don't let it idle and burp the system. So what I'm doing now is just let it idle, get up to temp, so that way that the fans come on and the thermostat opens or closes. I think it's opens. All the coolant can get to where it needs, but I'll also be keeping an eye on all this because that's where it was leaking. It was leaking right behind the thermostat right there. And you see all that crap down there. That's gonna be hard to clean. But that's a job for another day. I'll probably clean it in the summer when it's hotter. Maybe in the springtime when it's a little bit warmer. But for now, we're just gonna watch the coolant. All right, that is that. It is done. It doesn't leak. I got it up to temp. Bled the system. Now we just wait about a week, see if it starts eating coolant again, and if it does, then obviously that didn't fix it. But so far, so good, like I said. Exactly a week from today, putting on the coilovers. There will be no more monster truck. It'll be not slant. I'm not gonna slam it. It'll be low. Stay tuned for that. I also have some other videos up my sleeve that are some surprises. You know, you know. If not, that's okay. You'll find out. Just stay tuned.